fire in Staten Island, a family murdered in Linden, and a cyber attack on a New Jersey healthcare system. All this and more on this week's episode of Hawk TV News.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Hawk TV News. I'm Gabby Nadrich.
And I'm Aaliyah Feeney. Hundreds of thousands of patients' confidential information was leaked from Center State Healthcare System. The hospital located in Freehold, New Jersey, experienced a cyber attack breach in December. However, the incident was only reported last week. The unidentified hacker was able to obtain a copy of an archived database, forcing Center State to temporarily divert ambulances to surrounding hospitals and pause outpatient care. Over 600,000 patients were notified that their names, addresses, social security numbers, and medical records were leaked. The healthcare center released a statement saying they deeply regret any concern caused by this issue and reassured they are committed to the security of their systems.
At least 102 children were found to be working overnight shifts using hazardous chemicals in 8 states. 13 plants were fined $1.5 million by the United States Department of Labor for Packer Sanitation Services for these violations. These food sanitation companies were employing children as young as 13 in well-known companies including Tyson Food and Turkey Valley Farms. This is not the first time the Labor Department has experienced a situation of child labor. Last year, 31 children suffered serious injuries and chemical burns working in Packer stations.
Earlier this month, a Norfolk Southern freight train derailed in East Palestine, Ohio. The 150-car train had 20 cars containing hazardous materials such as vinyl chloride and carcinogen, which is used in plastic manufacturing. Norfolk Southern used a controlled burning of chemicals to prevent a bigger explosion. However, fires burned for several days. This incident caused an evacuation of 5,000 residents in the area, and although they were told they can safely return, concerns of air and water quality have been shared. Inhaling vinyl chloride can cause death and long-term health impacts. Some locals have said they are leaving the area for good and have experienced symptoms following the explosion.
Research suggests that swimming in cold water may contribute to burning body fat as well as avoiding diabetes. In addition to this, cold water swimmers advocate for the mental health benefits associated with exposure to icy water. The Arctic University of Norway discovered links to a good type of body fat tissue that burns energy that is activated by the cold. The university analyzed 104 studies that found exposing oneself to cold water or air helps to stimulate adipose tissue, which produces the apomectin proteins. This type of protein protects against insulin resistance, diabetes, as well as other diseases. The university mentioned that more research is needed to confirm the information, noting that winter swimmers could be healthier due to their lifestyle and mindset as well. However, James Mercer from UIT stated that it is clear that there is an increase in scientific support that voluntary exposure to cold water may have some beneficial health effects. They also caution others to be aware of hypothermia due to the prolonged exposure, as well as advertising others to start slowly, keep the swimming brief, and to never swim alone.
On Sunday, February 19th, police responded to a wellness check in Linden, New Jersey, where they found the members of this Linden family deceased. After arriving, Linden police found 3 of the 4 family members with gunshot wounds that were pronounced dead on the scene. The 4th family member was transported to University Hospital in Newark, where he later passed away due to his injuries. A joint investigation revealed that earlier Sunday morning, Yurota shot his wife, his son, and his daughter, and then later shot himself after calling a family member to admit what he did. The weapon was found in his hand when authorities arrived.
We have to take a short break, but don't go anywhere. More news is coming after.
There was a time in my life where I was extremely homesick. I decided that I needed a pet. When I first saw a turtle, my heart was full. He jumped up and kissed me and jumped right into my arms. I immediately went up to the volunteers at the shelter and said, I want him, he's gotta come home with me. Not anything but lonely. Every day with Turtle is a perfect day and keeps me company when I'm doing schoolwork. I like it when he jumps up on the table too. he is a veggie thief. He's an incredible companion and my best friend. Can't say that I've met anybody that doesn't love him too. When I adopted Turtle, I discovered all the things that make him unique. He's a little bit of a lot of things, but mostly he's all pure love.
St. Patrick's Day is just around the corner, and Monmouth County is celebrating with their annual parades. So here's a look at all the St. Patrick's Day coming up this March. Wait, sorry, I forgot parades. I said all the St. Patrick's Days. There's only one. I'm really sorry. Which necklace? All of them?
The little lock. Big, yeah, the top one. Yeah,
Can I just
that's fine, yeah.
Sorry.
No worries.
You guys ready?
Yeah.
Everyone's ready. 4, 3, 2, 1.
St. Patrick's Day is just around the corner, and Monmouth County is celebrating with their annual parades. So here is a look at all the parades lined up for this March. Starting off on March 5th, the Belmar Lake Como Parade is celebrating their 50th year running. Middletown will be having their parade on March 11th at 1 p.m., starting in front of St. Mary's School at 538 Church Street. Freehold Borough is having their St. Patrick's Parade on March 12th at 12:30 p.m., where there will be live music, corned beef platters, and sandwiches from the Freehold Elks and Knights of Columbus. Asbury Park and Rumson will hold their parade on March 12th at 1 p.m. on March 18th. South Street and Boy will also be parading from 5 to 6 p.m., followed by Highlands from 6 to 7 p.m. For more information on New Jersey events and parades, visit NewJerseyLeisureGuide.com.
A 4-foot-long alligator was recovered from a lake in Prospect Park in Brooklyn, New York. Park maintenance noticed the gator Sunday morning. However, it was unclear how the animal ended up in the lake. When removing the animal, it was deemed to be very tired and cold-shocked. New York City's Department of Park and Recreation said no one was injured. The alligator was safely transported back to the Bronx Zoo.
The DreamWorks Water Park at American Dream Mall in East Rutherford, New Jersey has been closed since Thursday after a helicopter fell in the pool. The decorative copter fell on Sunday around 3 p.m., injuring 7 people. However, no injuries were life-threatening. A video posted on Twitter showed crowds of water park goers confused while lifeguards rushed to help those involved. American Dream released a statement saying that the safety of their guests is their highest priority and that they will be conducting thorough safety checks before reopening.
Everyone's favorite movie critic, Ian Epstein, is back with this week's another episode of Let's Talk Films. This week he talks about the 2017 comedy, The Death of Stalin. Take it away, Ian.
Hello, Monmouth, and welcome back to Let's Talk Films. This week's film is one of my personal favorite comedies starring acting legend Steve Buscemi, The Death of Stalin. This 2017 historical comedy takes place in early 1953 Moscow as Joseph Stalin, dictator of the Soviet Union, unexpectedly collapses due to a brain hemorrhage. As a result, panic ensues among his henchmen as they comedically scramble to maintain order, take out competition, and take power. This struggle comes between the head of NKVD Lavrentiy Beria, Deputy Chairman Georgy Malenkov, and Chairman of the Soviet Union's Council of Ministers Nikita Khrushchev, as they seek alliances with other powerful council members and even the army as well. As I said before, The Death of Stalin stars acting legend and former Soprano star Steve Buscemi, playing Khrushchev, as well as other notable excellent actors such as Jeffrey Tambor, Simon Russell Beale, and Jason Isaacs, who played Georgy Malenkov, Lavrentiy Beria, and Field Marshal Zhukov, respectively. This film was directed and written by Armando Iannucci, who has created television shows such as In the Loop, The Thick of It, and Veep. As one might think, The Death of Stalin does not have these actors trying to speak with Russian accents, as Iannucci thought that it would take audiences out of the movie, as well as not wanting the actors and actresses to worry about their accents when improvising. The movie was banned in Russia on January 23, 2018, 2 days before it was to be released. One member of the Cultural Ministries Advisory Board was quoted as saying, "The film desecrates our historical symbols. The Soviet hymn, orders, and medals, and Marshal Zhukov is portrayed as an idiot," and added that this movie's release in advance of the 75th anniversary of the end of the Battle of Stalingrad, or February 2nd, would be an affront to Russia's World War II veterans. As of now, The Death of Stalin is currently available for free on Tubi, and I highly suggest it for how hilarious this film is. It's a funny film for those history majors seeking to unwind after history exams. That's it for this week's film. My name is Ian Epstein. Thank you for tuning in, and I will see you all next week.
Thank you for the great review, Ian. In other movie news, Santa Fe District Attorney's Office announced Monday it will be dropping the gun enhancement charge against Alec Baldwin. The actor was involved in a fatal shooting on the set of the film Rust in October 2021, which killed cinematographer Hala Hutchins. The charge would have carried a 5-year sentence. Baldwin still faces charges of involuntary manslaughter for the shooting. However, that crime would carry a lesser sentence of 18 months if convicted. Charges were also dropped against armorist Hannah Guertez Reed as she faced the same involuntary manslaughter charges.
22 firefighters were injured in a fire Friday in Staten Island. The fire started in a 2-family home in Arden Heights around 2:30 p.m. Quickly grew to be a 4-alarm fire as part of the initial home collapsed, causing members of the fire department to be trapped beneath the heavy fire. Only 3 of the 22 injured needed serious medical treatment, and the cause of the fire is still being investigated, as none of them have now died.
3 deaths and 3 injuries occurred after a shooting on a Chicago interstate highway Sunday night. 2 vehicles left the highway and were found stopped near a local hospital. According to Cook County Medical Examiner's Office, 2 teenagers, Nasir Hall and William Smith, and an infant, Amara Hall, were killed on the I-57 expressway. State police are still investigating this incident. There has been no arrest made.
Michigan State University has returned to in-person classes following the devastating shooting that occurred on their campus on February 13th. The announcement caused many students to express concerns and fears to return just 1 week after the shooting that killed 3 students. Interim Provost Thomas Jesku acknowledged that the remainder of the semester is not going to be normal. On-campus grief counselors and bolstered police presence began Monday, February 20th.
Hundreds of rescuers searched Monday for survivors of landslides and flooding that killed at least 36 people along the coast of Brazil's southern state of Sao Paulo, following a huge weekend downpour. The worst hit was the city of São Sebastião, where at least 35 were pronounced dead. In a neighboring city, a 70-year-old girl was killed. The disaster in an area famous for beaches flanked by mountains prompted cancellations in many cities of the carnival festivities, now in full swing elsewhere in the country. Nearly 800 people were left homeless and over 1,700 people have been displaced, according to a statement by the official state government.
We have to take another short break, but when we come back, we have Layla and Mareed with a message about the Super Bowl.
If I could go back and change it all, I would. I think I'm gonna miss you the most. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Maybe it's just the little moments. If I could go back and change it all, if I could go back, I would. But I can't.
Everyone's been talking about Rihanna ever since her return at Super Bowl 57, but here's Layla Medovic and Mareed Spellisy ranking the past 7.
Hello, my name is Layla Medovic, and I am joined with Mareed Spellisy. Today, we will be ranking specific Super Bowl performances since 2015. We will be ranking them from worst to best, the worst being 7th place and the best being 1st.
In 7th place, we have Adam Levine with Maroon 5 and Travis Scott, who performed in 2019. To put this simply, this performance was mediocre. Adam Levine's chill demeanor, contrasting with Travis Scott's lively energy, created a clashing performance. It was genuinely very confusing as to why the people running this Super Bowl decided to collaborate with the 2 artists, since there is no commonality within their music. However, perhaps if both artists performed at the Super Bowl individually, then they would get a higher rating.
Next, in 6th place, we have 2016 Super Bowl featuring Coldplay with special guests Beyonce and Bruno Mars. This show is at an automatic disadvantage since the show went on during the daytime. In addition, the featured artists unintentionally stole the spotlight off of Coldplay as they are returning Super Bowl performers. To many fans, this was just another Beyonce and Bruno Mars Super Bowl.
In fifth place, following Coldplay, Beyonce, and Bruno Mars, we have The Weeknd, who performed in 2021 following COVID-19. Many were unsure how The Weeknd's Super Bowl performance was likely to play out. It was incredible and uniquely different from the rest. However, it was only enjoyable if you were watching it digitally. The show was created specifically for the COVID pandemic instead of the general audience, who paid for tickets. Throughout the whole performance, you can see The Weeknd face his back against the crowd to sing to the camera. Imagine paying all that money for a ticket just to have a better view on your phone.
In fourth place, we have Rihanna. Now we know that this is what you came for, but it was a very tame performance in comparison to the next upcoming ones listed. Considering Rihanna is pregnant, she was not giving much of an elaborate performance. However, she does get bonus points for incorporating her brand Fenty Beauty heavily within her show.
In third place, we have 2015's Katy Perry. This performance is insane. Not only were her vocals great, but Katy Perry understands the concept of camp. She fully encapsulated every feeling and emotion that her songs gave off within the set designs. Also, her bright, cheerful energy shined through, making the performance very enjoyable to watch. Plus, how could we forget about the iconic left shark who forgot his routine?
In second place, we have 2017's Lady Gaga. This performance is a very close second. With the perfect mix of Lady Gaga's monster persona mixed with her mellowed down A Star Is Born persona called for a perfect example to broadcast her true talent. After this performance, Lady Gaga was to be taken more seriously than just a pop star. In addition, Lady Gaga is also a woman who understands what it means to be camp, and she delivered.
And lastly, in first place, we have J.Lo and Shakira. This performance is incredibly memorable, as it feels more like a celebration of culture than a performance. J.Lo and Shakira both use the Super Bowl as an opportunity to embrace their Latin roots, including Latin guest artists like J Balvin and Bad Bunny to guest appear. In addition, at ages 50 and 43, these women were moving like they were born yesterday. This performance rightfully earns its spot at #1, merely because of how intricate the performance truly is.
Thank you so much for listening to us rank the past Super Bowl performances. Now let's go back to the desk.
Kim Kardashian agreed to pay a $1.26 million fine to the SEC for failing to disclose that Ethereum Max paid her $250,000 to promote the coin, which the SEC deems a crypto asset security on Instagram. Kardashian's settlement could cause marketers, workers on crypto-related brands or campaigns to be more buttoned up when working with influencers, especially as regulation of cryptocurrency ramps up and definitions in the space, like which coins are considered securities by the SEC, for instance, aren't always clear. Brad Michelson's eToro's head of US marketing told us that Kardashian's SEC settlement was a wake-up call for both marketers and influencers. What we're learning more and more as marketers in this industry is that you have to be even more careful than some brands are, he said.
White Lotus star Aubrey Plaza has explained why she swiped a note that mentioned her name for President Joe Biden's desk while on a White House tour. Plaza, who, like Biden, has ties to Delaware, told The New Yorker that she's met the president many times and grabbed the note years after an encounter she had with him as a 16-year-old. The Parks and Recreation actor said she attended his youth leadership conference as a high school student where participants were able to address different issues. She said Biden was set to give a speech to students at the climax of an event while she believed the intent was to get students' points of view. I was really angry about the conference, and in fact, I had a stare down with Joe Biden from the audience because he asked how it went, and I raised my hand immediately, and I was like, it's bull. This conference sucks. You didn't let us talk. That was supposed to be about the students, Plaza said.
Plenty of celebrities get makeovers as they age, and Barney the dinosaur is no different. Barney and Friends, which starred the friendly purple T-Rex, premiered on PBS in 1992. On Monday, Mattel announced in a press release that it would reboot the show as an animated series in 2024, introducing Barney to a new generation of children. The rebooted Barney will span television, film, and YouTube content, as well as music and a full range of kids' products, including toys, books, clothing, and more. According to the release, but as images of the updated Barney began hitting social media, some were confused about their beloved childhood icon's new look. In the images of the animated Barney, the character's cheeks appear slimmer, his nose smaller, and his teeth whiter than the original. 1990s live-action model. They gave Barney contacts, a nose job, and bigger veneers. Sad, one person tweeted, showing off a side-by-side of the old and new Barney.
On Sunday night, February 19th, Team Guinness came out on top after facing Team LeBron in Salt Lake City, Utah at the 2023 NBA All-Star Game. This is the first time since the All-Star Draft format changed back in 2018 that LeBron James has lost an All-Star game. Celtics superstar Jason Tatum, who was on Team Guinness, earned MVP honors after breaking Anthony Davis' All-Star game, scoring record with 55 points in the 184-175 victory. On Team LeBron, following Celtic Jaylen Brown ended the night with 35 points, the lead scorer for Team LeBron. And to end the night, Damian Lillard won the game for Team Guinness with a three-pointer.
Back in the fall, Taylor Swift announced her upcoming United States tour planned for the spring and summer of 2023. Here's my past self giving you an update on the music superstar's upcoming concert. Soon after the October release of her 10th album, Midnights, there was a state of grace when Taylor Swift announced a U.S. leg to her 2023 tour called the Eras Tour. It was no hoax that the tour caused the entire fandom to have their wildest dreams come true. The tour is going to be more of a best hits tour, hence the name the Eras Tour. Taylor is going to be taking fans into a wonderland of all her albums during this production. If you survived the Great War to get tickets, I'm here to tell you my personal favorites from each album. And trust me, I know these songs all too well. Don't blame me if I seem excited, as I'm only me when I'm with Taylor Swift. From her 2006 debut album, appropriately titled Taylor Swift, Picture to Burn is a perfectly angsty breakup song. There is certainly a little country sound to it, but it definitely solidified a place in this world for Swift's music career. For her second album, and first of the re-records, Fearless Taylor's version, my favorite is Forever and Always. It's an upbeat twist on a heartbreak anthem, but it's the perfect song for when your love story goes south. Speak Now followed this release, and I would say Dear John is not only the best song on the album, but one of the best in the entire Taylor Swift discography. But honestly, the whole album is very enchanted. Her second re-recorded album, Red Taylor's version, has a holy ground of great songs, but I Bet You Think About Me takes the cake on this one. 1989 never goes out of style, and New Romantics is the perfect windows down song for anyone. Call it what you want, but Reputation was also a great comeback album after 1989. While the song Gorgeous is my favorite, it differs from the rest of the songs on the album, so it may not be yours. Her 2019 release Lover has no skips for me, but Death by a Thousand Cuts tops all the others. My favorite on Folklore is Betty, and hence the name Folklore. It has more of a folky style compared to the other albums. Evermore brings me a lot of happiness, and Long Story Short is the perfect song for those perfect moments. The Mastermind, Taylor Swift's newest album, also has zero skips. However, I think Would've, Could've, Should've is one of her best songs ever. But honestly, all of her songs are fantastic. Who knows what she'll end up performing? Whatever it is, just hope you're ready for it. Back to you guys. Thank you, Past Gab. According to reports from real estate brokerage Redfin, the United States housing market suffered its biggest drop in value since the 2008 real estate crisis. During June, the total of all American homes was estimated at a value of $47.7 trillion, and the year ended with values around $45.3 trillion, a decline of $2.3 trillion, or a 5% total. During the pandemic, we saw the value soared at a rate we have not seen in over 50 years, but the frenzy came to a screeching halt when the Federal Reserve hit us with the most aggressive interest rate hike since the 80s in an attempt to slow down runaway inflation. Although mortgage rates are down from the fall, we are still on the upswing with the current average rate around 6.5%.
We have to take another short break, but when we come back, we will have more news and also Mama Sports.
I don't want to talk about it.
I don't want to talk about it.
Families don't have to talk about everything, but they should talk about how to plan for an emergency. Get tips and resources to make your family's emergency plan.
Russia is gearing up to launch a spacecraft to the International Space Station that will replace a capsule that sprang a coolant leak in December, leaving 2 cosmonauts and 1 NASA astronaut without a ride home. Liftoff of the capsule, called the Soyuz MS-23, is expected to occur out of Russia's Baikonur Cosmodrome launch site in Kazakhstan on Thursday. The uncrewed spacecraft will spend 2 days in orbit, maneuvering towards the orbiting laboratory. It's expected to dock with the Poisk module, which is on the space station's Russian-run portion, just after 8 p.m. Saturday. The Soyuz MS-23 will be the return vehicle for the cosmonauts Sergei Povenkrev and Dmitry Pelotin, NASA astronaut Frank Rubio, all of whom traveled the space station aboard the Soyuz MS-22 capsule in September.
3 men have been arrested in connection with the attempted murder of a high-profile detective in Northern Ireland. Detective Chief Inspector John Caldwell was shot multiple times on Wednesday in front of his son and other children at the sports complex on Wednesday. Caldwell was shot several times by masked men in Omagh, County Tyrone, on Wednesday as he put footballs in his car with his son. Police Service of Northern Ireland, PSNI, Assistant Chief Constable Mark McCain told media, "The shooting occurred in a crowded space with children nearby, and fortunately no one else was hurt."
We now send you to sports anchor Mairead Spellisey with an update on Monmouth sports.
Celia, the men's basketball faced Elon on Saturday, February 18th for their last home game of the season. This was the first ever matchup between these 2 teams, and it was quite the competition. The entire game was close, Elon never leading more than 12 points. They were both tied for 8th place in the CAA, but Elon went home with the victory against Monmouth, 75-68. Jack Collins led the Hawks with 17 points and Clement Vuga right behind him with 16. Women's basketball headed down south this past weekend to face Elon on Friday, February 17th, and North Carolina A&T on Sunday, February 19th. Unfortunately, Monmouth was defeated by both teams, but put up a good battle. When facing Elon, Bree Tinsley scored a team high of 11 points and 4 assists in the 48-57 game, while on Sunday, Casey Donovan was the game leader with 15 points and 3 assists in the 62-65 loss, but Bree Tinsley continued to have a great weekend with 5 assists, needing 3 more to reach 100 for the season. On Saturday, February 18th, women's lacrosse went head-to-head against the United States Naval Academy. The first period was a back-and-forth battle until the Hawks jumped ahead with a 2-0 lead. Navy and Monmouth alternated goals in the first period, left Navy with 7 points and the Hawks with 5. In the second period, Carly Mangum struck for her second goal of the day, but still left Monmouth behind 6-9. In the third period, both teams scored twice, Cassidy Orban making both of them for Monmouth. As the fourth quarter came around, it was 11-8 until freshman Shea Berrigan scored the first goal of the quarter for Monmouth, leaving them only behind by 2. But unfortunately, Navy walked away with the victory 15-9. On Saturday, February 18th, the men's lacrosse team lost 22-9 against the Princeton Tigers in the season opener. Cade Stratton led the game with 3 goals, and Ty Caffarelli and Caden Kesselring each scored their first career goals. Just 2 days ago, the men's lacrosse team faced New Jersey Institute of Technology and had a great win 15-9. Cade Stratton held his spot for the second game of the season as the leading scorer with 4 goals versus NJIT. The Hawks head to Long Island University this weekend to face the Sharks. That's going to wrap it up for this week's update on the Hawks. Make sure to check MonmouthHawks.com for up-to-date updates on all our teams.
That's going to do it for this week's Hawk TV News. I'm Aaliyah Feeney.
And I'm Gabby Nadrich. Be sure to tune in next week for more.